The Forgotten Guardian. The Relentless drifted silently in the void, orbiting a forgotten outpost at the edge of human space. Once the pride of Earth's fleet, the massive warship had been relegated to obsolescence, deemed too costly to upgrade and too antiquated to serve in the sleek new defense forces. Its hull, marred by micrometeor impacts and space dust, had lost its shine decades ago. The ship's once gleaming insignia was barely visible beneath layers of cosmic weathering. Commander Ilara Voss stood on the observation deck, staring out at the distant stars. Her reflection in the reinforced glass showed a woman in her 40s, with stern features and eyes that had seen too much. This wasn't where she had imagined her career would end up, babysitting a derelict warship with a skeleton crew of 30, all of them officers who had somehow fallen out of favor with high command. Another thrilling day aboard the galaxy's most expensive storage unit, said Lieutenant Connor Reed as he joined her at the viewport. His attempt at humor fell flat, but Voss appreciated the effort. "Status report?" she asked, not taking her eyes off the distant glimmer of Proxima Colony, barely visible from their position. "All systems functioning at minimum capacity, as ordered. Life support stable. The reactors humming along at 15% output. Nothing exciting to report." Voss nodded. Nothing exciting. That had been the story for the past 3 years of her assignment. The Relentless was kept operational only for emergency situations that High Command assured would never come. The ship was a relic, a monument to humanity's earlier approach to space warfare. Overwhelming firepower rather than the precise, energy-efficient designs favored now. "Commander," called a voice over the intercom. "We're picking up some unusual readings at the edge of our sensor range." Voss straightened. "On my way." She moved with purpose toward the bridge, Reed following close behind. The bridge of the Relentless was cavernous, designed to accommodate a full command staff of 50. With only 5 officers manning the stations, it felt like a mausoleum. Ensign Maya Chen sat at the sensor array, her young face illuminated by the blue glow of the holographic display. "What have you got, Ensign?" Voss asked, leaning over Chen's shoulder. "Not sure, Commander. It started as fluctuations in the subspace field about 2 hours ago. I thought it was just background noise, but it's growing stronger and more coherent. Almost like encrypted communications." Voss studied the readings. Something about the pattern seemed familiar, triggering memories from her tactical training days. "Have you run this through the pattern recognition database?" "Yes, ma'am. No matches in current diplomatic channels or known species communication protocols." Reed peered at the display. "Could be natural phenomena. Neutron star pulses can sometimes mimic artificial signals." Voss shook her head. "The regularity is too precise." She straightened, coming to a decision. "Boost power to long-range sensors. I want a visual on whatever's out there." "Ma'am, that would exceed our power allocation for the month." Chen reminded her hesitantly. "I'm aware, Ensign. Do it anyway." As Chen rerouted power to the sensors, the lights on the bridge dimmed momentarily. The vast sensor array of the Relentless, once the most advanced in the fleet, hummed to life for the first time in years. The holographic display expanded, showing the distant edge of the system. At first, there was nothing but empty space. Then, as the resolution improved, tiny points of light appeared, dozens of them, moving in perfect formation. "Ships," Voss breathed. "A lot of them." "Their configuration doesn't match anything in our database," Chen reported, her voice tense. "They're running dark, minimal emissions. That's why we didn't detect them earlier." Voss's mind raced. "Alert Proxima Colony. They need to know about this." Lieutenant Reed moved to the communications station and sent the alert. The response came almost immediately. "Commander, Proxima Defense Command is dismissing our report. They say our outdated sensors are likely malfunctioning and that no unidentified vessels have been detected on their surveillance network." Voss clenched her jaw. "Send them the raw data. They can analyze it themselves." While they waited for a response, the unknown vessels continued their approach, slow but steady. Reed returned from communications, his expression grim. "They're still not taking us seriously. Colonel Mercer suggests we run a complete diagnostic on our sensor array before wasting more of their time." "Damn it," Voss muttered. Colonel Mercer, head of Proxima's defense forces, had never hidden his disdain for the Relentless and its crew. To him, they were relics, just like their ship. "Keep monitoring those vessels. I want continuous updates on their position and speed." As the day progressed, the unknown fleet drew closer, maintaining their tight formation and emissions discipline. Voss sent hourly updates to Proxima Colony, each one more urgent than the last. Each was met with increasing irritation from Mercer's office. That evening, as Voss reviewed the latest sensor data in her quarters, her terminal chimed with an incoming message. It wasn't from Proxima Command, but from the ship itself. A system notification she'd never seen before. "Prometheus Protocol Annihilates. Threat assessment. Critical. Requesting command authorization." Voss stared at the message in confusion. There was no Prometheus protocol in the ship's operational guidelines she'd studied. She typed a response. "Identify Prometheus protocol." The answer came immediately. "Classified defense initiative. Torment AI system, designed for autonomous ship defense. In extending Cheyenne, Level scenarios. Last UPDAT, 47 years ago." An AI. The Relentless had a dormant artificial intelligence. Voss knew about the ship's advanced computer systems, but nothing in the official documentation mentioned an AI capable of independent operation. "What threat have you identified?" she typed. "AP approaching vessels, men-ATH spatial distortion patterns of VANDUL Armada. NKONTRED in Battle of ARCTURUS. 2187. Hostility assessment. 97.3% probability." The Vandal. Voss had studied the historical records of humanity's first contact with the aggressive alien species. The Battle of Arcturus had been a devastating loss, with thousands of casualties. It had taken years for Earth's combined fleets to push them back. But the Vandal hadn't been seen in human space for over 40 years. "How do you recommend we proceed?" Voss asked, feeling strange conversing with a ship she thought she knew. "Fuel systems activated. Weapons readiness. Crew battle stations. Request PERMISSION to engage Prometheus defense protocols." Voss hesitated. Activating all systems would drain their power reserves and definitely attract attention from Proxima Command. If she was wrong about the threat, it would end her career. But if she was right, "Permission granted," she typed. "Activate Prometheus protocol." The lights in her quarters flickered, then brightened. The constant background hum of the ship's systems deepened to a resonant thrum that she felt in her bones. Throughout the Relentless, dormant systems awakened as power surged through long unused conduits. On the bridge, officers watched in amazement as terminal after terminal lit up. Weapons systems, advanced sensors, shield generators, all coming online simultaneously. "What's happening?" Reed asked as Voss strode onto the bridge. "Meet Sentinel," Voss replied, gesturing to the main view screen where a stylized eye symbol had appeared. "The Relentless has been holding out on us. It has an AI defense system that predates the ban on autonomous military intelligence." "I am Sentinel," came a deep, synthesized voice from the ship's communications system. "Combat Eye of the ESS Relentless. I have been activated due to an imminent threat to human life. The approaching fleet is Vandal in origin. Their weapons signatures indicate hostile intent. The Vandal were driven from human space decades ago." Reed protested. "Incorrect," Sentinel responded. "The Vandal retreated strategically to rebuild their forces. This fleet represents a significant portion of their remaining military strength. Their most likely target is Proxima Colony, population 8.7 million. Voss felt a chill run down her spine. Sentinel, how confident are you in this assessment? 97.3% probability based on historical behavioral patterns and current approach vector. The Vandal do not engage in diplomacy or trade. Their cultural imperative is conquest through force. Voss made her decision. Sound general quarters. All crew to battle stations. Sentinel, bring all weapons systems online and prepare defensive strategies. As klaxons blared throughout the ship, Voss opened a channel to Proxima Defense Command. Colonel Mercer's face appeared on screen, his expression already annoyed. Commander Voss, these constant. Colonel, Voss interrupted, we have confirmed the approaching vessels as Vandal warships. I am activating the Relentless for full combat operations and positioning to intercept. You need to prepare planetary defenses immediately. Mercer's annoyance turned to disbelief. Vandal? That's ridiculous. And even if it were true, what exactly do you think that museum piece you're commanding could do about it? Stand down, Commander. That's an order. With respect, Colonel, the Relentless operates under Fleet Command protocols during emergency situations. I am declaring an emergency under Article 17 of the Colonial Defense Charter. You'll find my authority supersedes yours in this circumstance. Mercer's face reddened. You're making a serious mistake, Voss. When this turns out to be nothing, I'll have your commission. If I'm wrong, I'll hand it to you myself, Voss replied, ending the transmission. She turned to her crew, who looked both terrified and exhilarated. You all heard what's happening. This ship was built for combat, and today we're going to remind everyone what she can do. Tactical, coordinate with Sentinel on weapons readiness. Engineering, I need everything you can give the engines and shields. Communications, keep sending warnings to Proxima. Someone there will listen eventually. As her crew rushed to comply, Voss settled into the command chair. The Relentless hummed with energy around her, awakening from its long slumber. Sentinel, she said quietly, what are our chances against a Vandal Armada? Conventional tactical analysis suggests 12.4% probability of success. The AI responded, its voice resonating through the bridge. However, conventional analysis does not account for the Relentless's classified weapons systems or the element of surprise. With optimal execution, our chances improve to 37.9%. Voss nodded grimly. Not great odds, but we've worked with worse. Let's show these aliens and Colonel Mercer what this old warship can do. Ahead of them, the Vandal fleet continued its inexorable approach, unaware that the forgotten guardian of humanity was stirring, preparing to meet their challenge with fire and steel. Defiance against all odds. The Vandal fleet emerged from stealth mode without warning, their biomechanical ships materializing like dark specters against the stars. From the bridge of the Relentless, Commander Voss counted over 60 vessels, corvettes, destroyers, and at their center, a massive dreadnought that dwarfed even the substantial bulk of her own warship. They're broadcasting, announced Lieutenant Reed from Communications. System-wide transmission. Let's hear it, Voss ordered. A harsh, guttural voice filled the bridge, the alien language translated by Sentinel in real time. Attention, human settlement. We are the Vandal Collective. Your species encroaches on territories marked for our expansion. Surrender your colony and withdraw, or face extermination. You have one planetary rotation to comply. Charming, Voss muttered. Any response from Proxima Command? Reed nodded grimly. Colonel Mercer is organizing evacuation of government personnel and deploying the defense fleet. He's ordered us to stand down and return to orbit. Voss laughed without humor. Of course he has. What's Proxima's defense fleet consist of these days? 12 corvettes and 2 light cruisers, Sentinel answered. Modern vessels with energy-efficient weapon systems and minimal armor. Against the Vandal fleet, Their survival probability is 8.3% over a 10-minute engagement. Voss nodded grimly. The modern human fleet had been designed for peacetime patrol and the occasional pirate skirmish, not all-out warfare against a superior force. In the decades of relative peace, military doctrine had shifted towards smaller, faster ships with precise weaponry, rather than the heavily armored behemoths like the Relentless. Sentinel, what hidden capabilities does this ship have that might surprise our friends out there? Voss asked. The AI's response was immediate. The Relentless was constructed with experimental systems classified beyond standard military protocols. These include self-regenerating nanometal hull armor, Mark VII antimatter torpedo system, quantum disruption field generator, gravity manipulation array, secondary AI combat nodes throughout the ship for distributed decision-making, even under heavy damage. The bridge crew exchanged astonished glances. None of these systems appeared in the official specifications. Why weren't we told about any of this? Reed demanded. These systems were deemed too dangerous and resource-intensive for standard deployment, Sentinel explained. The Relentless was part of the Prometheus Initiative, an experimental program developing autonomous defense capabilities in case of extinction-level threats. After the Vandal War ended, the program was discontinued and classified. Voss leaned forward in her command chair. Are these systems still operational? All systems can be brought online at 87% efficiency or higher, Sentinel confirmed. Power requirements will exceed standard operational parameters. Do it, Voss ordered. And plot an intercept course with the Vandal fleet. We'll position ourselves between them and Proxima Colony. As the Relentless's engines roared to full power for the first time in decades, pushing the massive warship toward the enemy, alarms blared on Proxima Colony. Their small defense fleet scrambled to form a protective screen, but their formation was hasty and disorganized. A communication request flashed on Voss's console. She accepted it, and Colonel Mercer's face appeared, his features tight with barely controlled panic. "Commander, I ordered you to stand down," he snapped. "I received your order," Voss replied calmly. "But as I explained earlier, fleet protocols supersede colonial authority in this situation. You're going to get yourself killed for nothing. That antique can't stand against modern weapons." Voss smiled thinly. "Colonel, with all due respect, you have no idea what this antique can do. Focus on evacuating civilians. We'll buy you as much time as we can." She cut the transmission before he could respond and turned her attention to the tactical display. The Vandal fleet had noticed their approach and was adjusting formation. Several smaller vessels broke away, moving to intercept. "They're targeting us," Reed reported. "Reading energy buildups consistent with plasma cannons." "Shields at maximum," Voss ordered. "Sentinel, tactical assessment." The approaching vessels are scout class. Their weaponry is designed for speed rather than penetration. Our shields can withstand their attack for approximately 12.7 minutes at current power levels. Voss nodded. "Weapons status. Main railgun charged and ready. Antimatter torpedoes primed. Point defense systems active. Quantum disruption field generator spooling up. Will be ready in 3 minutes." The first volley from the Vandal scouts flashed across space, brilliant streaks of energy that crashed against the Relentless's shields. The ancient warship shuddered but pressed on. "Return fire," Voss commanded. "Let's show them what outdated technology can do." The Relentless's main railgun, a massive coil gun running the length of the ship's spine, discharged with a thunderous report that reverberated through the hull. The hypersonic projectile, a depleted uranium slug the size of a ground car, crossed the distance in seconds and tore through the lead scout ship as if it were made of paper. The bridge crew cheered as the enemy vessel shattered into fragments. The remaining scouts broke formation, suddenly wary of the seemingly obsolete human ship that had just destroyed one of their own with a single shot. "The main Vandal fleet is accelerating," Reed reported. "They're taking us seriously now." Voss smiled grimly. Good. Sentinel, how long until the quantum disruption field is ready? 90 seconds to full charge, Commander. The Vanduul scouts regrouped and attacked again, this time coordinating their fire on specific points of the Relentless's shields. Warning indicators flashed across tactical displays as shield strength dropped. They're probing for weaknesses, Voss observed. Rotate shield frequencies and return fire with point defense systems. Save the main gun for larger targets. The Relentless's point defense turrets, dozens of smaller railguns and laser arrays, opened up, filling space with a lethal web of projectiles and energy beams. 2 more scout ships erupted into flames, but the remaining vessels pressed their attack with suicidal determination. Shield breach on Deck 14, called the tactical officer. Hull damage reported. Activate nanometal repair protocols, Voss ordered, and prepare antimatter torpedoes. Target the lead destroyer in the main fleet. As the Relentless absorbed punishment, microscopic machines swarmed over damaged sections of the hull, reconstructing metal and circuitry in real time. Meanwhile, 4 missile tubes extended from the warship's forward section, each containing a weapon that had been banned by interstellar treaties after the Vanduul War. Torpedoes locked, Sentinel confirmed. Quantum disruption field charged and ready. Activate the field and fire torpedoes, Voss commanded. A shimmering distortion spread outward from the Relentless, warping the fabric of space-time itself. As it washed over the approaching Vanduul vessels, their shields flickered and failed, their engines sputtered, and their weapons systems went dark. In that moment of vulnerability, the antimatter torpedoes launched, streaking toward the Vanduul fleet. Each warhead contained a microscopic amount of antimatter suspended in a magnetic containment field, enough destructive potential to level a small city. The torpedoes struck their targets with devastating effect. The lead destroyer and 3 surrounding vessels vanished in blinding flashes as matter and antimatter annihilated each other. The shockwaves battered nearby ships, sending them spinning out of formation. For a moment, there was silence on the bridge of the Relentless. The display showed a gaping hole in the center of the Vanduul formation, where ships had been moments before. By the stars, Reed whispered. Those were antimatter weapons. The quantum disruption field is holding, Sentinel reported. Enemy vessels within the field are experiencing 87% systems degradation. Field efficacy will decrease as it expands. Estimated time to field collapse: 4 minutes. Voss leaned forward. That's our window. All weapons, target the dreadnought. Maximum firepower. The Relentless unleashed everything in its arsenal. Railgun slugs, energy beams, conventional missiles, and 2 more antimatter torpedoes. The massive Vanduul dreadnought, caught in the disruption field with its shields down, took hit after devastating hit. Explosions blossomed across its hull as compartment after compartment was breached. But the alien vessel was enormous, nearly twice the size of the Relentless, and built to withstand tremendous punishment. Despite the barrage, it remained operational, its central core protected by layers of armor. The disruption field is weakening, Sentinel warned. Enemy systems are coming back online. The dreadnought is powering weapons. Voss saw the energy readings spike on her display. The alien vessel was preparing to fire its main weapon, a gravitational lance capable of tearing a planet's crust apart. Divert all power to forward shields, she ordered. Brace for impact. The Vanduul weapon discharge, a distortion in space that warped light around it as it lanced toward the Relentless. It struck with the force of a small asteroid, overwhelming the shields and scoring a deep furrow along the warship's port side. Alarms blared as entire decks were exposed to vacuum. Hull breach on decks 7 through 12. Reed shouted over the noise. We've lost starboard engines and 30% of weapon systems. Voss gripped her chair as the ship shuddered around her. Sentinel, damage assessment. Critical damage to multiple systems, the AI reported, its voice steady despite the chaos. Nanometal repair systems engaged but overwhelmed. Combat effectiveness reduced to 62%. The Vandal dreadnought is preparing for another shot. Voss knew they couldn't survive another hit like that. She studied the tactical display, searching for options. The Vandal dreadnought was wounded but still fighting. The disruption field had collapsed, and the remaining enemy vessels were regrouping. Then she noticed something. The damage pattern on the dreadnought's hull. Its central reactor was partially exposed, visible through the breaches their weapons had created. Sentinel, if we hit the dreadnought's reactor with an antimatter torpedo, what would happen? She asked. The resulting reaction would cause a cascade failure in their power systems, leading to complete destruction of the vessel. However, at current range, the explosion would also severely damage or destroy the Relentless. Voss nodded grimly. What if we used the gravity manipulation array to direct the force of the explosion away from us? There was a pause as Sentinel calculated. Theoretically possible, but it would require precise timing and positioning. The gravity array was never tested under combat conditions. First time for everything, Voss said. Plot a course to bring us directly above the reactor breach. Prepare our last antimatter torpedo and charge the gravity array. As her orders were relayed, Voss opened a ship-wide communication channel. All hands, this is Commander Voss. We're about to attempt a maneuver that's, well, let's call it unconventional. Secure yourselves as best you can and stand by. The Relentless surged forward, engines straining as the massive warship positioned itself precisely above the damaged section of the Vandal dreadnought. Enemy fire intensified, hammering their weakened shields and scaring the ancient hull. In position, Reed reported, his voice tense. Gravity array charge. Last torpedo ready. Voss took a deep breath. Fire. The torpedo shot downward, striking the exposed reactor with pinpoint accuracy. Simultaneously, the gravity manipulation array activated, creating a directed field that would channel the explosion away from the Relentless. For a heartbeat, nothing happened. Then the universe seemed to tear itself apart. The Vandal dreadnought's reactor detonated, releasing energy equivalent to millions of tons of conventional explosives. The gravity field bent this cataclysm downward and outward, away from the Relentless, creating a cone of destruction that engulfed the surrounding Vandal vessels. Even with the gravity field protecting them, the shockwaves slammed into the Relentless with tremendous force. The warship was flung backward, systems failing, hull groaning under stresses it was never designed to withstand. On the bridge, Voss clung to her command chair as consoles exploded around her. Through the view screen, she watched the Vandal dreadnought dissolve in a blinding flare of energy that seemed to burn itself into her retinas. Then darkness. When Voss regained consciousness, the bridge was illuminated only by emergency lighting. Smoke hung in the air, and several officers lay motionless at their stations. Reed was slumped over communications, blood trickling from a gash on his forehead. But his eyes were open. Status, Voss croaked, her throat raw from smoke inhalation. We're alive, Reed responded weakly. That's about the best I can say. Sentinel's voice came through damaged speakers, distorted but understandable. Primary systems offline, running on emergency power. Hull integrity at 41%. Casualties reported on all decks. Medical systems responding. The Vandal. The dreadnought was completely destroyed, along with 78% of their fleet. Remaining vessels are retreating from the system. Voss closed her eyes briefly in relief. Proxima Colony. The colony is intact. Their defense fleet suffered minimal casualties and is moving to assist us. Colonel Mercer is personally leading the rescue operation. A bitter laugh escaped Voss's lips. I bet he's enjoying that. Hours later, as medical teams worked to evacuate the wounded from the battered Relentless, Voss stood in the hangar bay, watching shuttles come and go. Her left arm was in a makeshift sling, and medical nanites worked to repair 3 broken ribs. Colonel Mercer approached, his pristine uniform a stark contrast to Voss's blood-stained and torn attire. To her surprise, he saluted sharply. Commander Voss, he said, his tone respectful. On behalf of Proxima Colony and all its citizens, I extend our deepest gratitude. Without your actions today, we would have been destroyed. Voss returned the salute with her good arm. Just doing our duty, Colonel. Mercer shook his head. It was more than duty. It was extraordinary. He gestured to the damaged hull around them. I spent years dismissing ships like the Relentless as obsolete relics. I was wrong. There's something to be said for old-fashioned destructive capability in the right circumstances. Voss smiled tiredly. The Relentless may be old, Colonel, but she has heart. And sometimes that's what matters most in a fight. As the last of her injured crew were evacuated, Voss paused in the doorway of the shuttle, looking back at the ship that had been her home for 3 years. Despite its wounds, the massive warship still projected an aura of indomitable strength. Sentinel had assured her that the nominal repair systems would eventually restore most of the damage, given time and resources. "We'll be back," she promised quietly. "There's life in the old girl yet." Behind her, Sentinel's voice responded through her personal communicator, heard by her alone. "The Relentless awaits your return, Commander. There are still stars to guard." Voss smiled and stepped into the shuttle, already planning how to convince Fleet Command that the Prometheus initiative deserved a second look. After all, the universe was vast and full of dangers. Humanity would always need guardians, even the ones they have forgotten.